So we're here today to talk about data distribution of choice. This is kind of my spec sheet. I've been doing this for right at 20 years, was my anniversary in August. Come to a bunch of RESOs, but more importantly, I'm pretty into gaming and craft beer. So always happy to talk data standards, but you'll catch my attention a little quicker if you want to talk about some video games. So we're referring to data distribution of choice as MLSs and technology providers being offered a variety of services and options to achieve success. We feel that MLSs succeed by giving technology providers their favored methods of data distribution. So an MLS benefits in a few ways of offering multiple options to consumers. The first is choice. Technology providers have their preferred methods of ways they want to download data. The more consumers you have, the more revenue your MLS is going to be able to bring in for your platform. Choice will also give you the option of reduced cost. So technology providers tend to pass the cost through to your members. And in theory, the easier and cheaper it is for a technology provider to pull that data in, faster setup and lower cost for you and your membership. It also gives you portability. So we also feel that you should embrace vendors who can meet your needs. There's a lot of vendor lock-in in this industry, and the more options you have, the more easily you can switch back and forth between separate providers. On the same token, we feel that technology providers wins by having the tools available that they need. Again, a technology provider has reduced cost when they can work within a platform they need. I think you see this fairly often when you go to a technology provider and you say, I have to use platform X. They've never built a data feed against platform X. They have to talk about how long it's going to take to set it up and to get it going, and that's just more friction for your membership. Similarly, along the same lines, you can adopt a platform that you're used to much, much more quickly, especially if you're working against a standardized platform that has the same feeds across the board. Put in your new credentials, spin it up, and go. And of course, simplified process as well, dealing with your contracts, dealing with the actual staff at the MLSs. If you have a process that you're used to, your staff is used to, having the option to move between these various platforms is beneficial. So I want to talk a little bit on the same token, but kind of deviating a little bit on how choice matters a little more than you might realize. So we're going to run through some rough numbers that I threw together with a vibe code app. So I think they're mostly accurate. Check some of these with Josh, but we're calling this certification by the rough numbers. So there's been over 1,100 certifications that have been issued across the board. This is vendors, this is MLSs, this is technology providers. It's a staggering amount. There's 39 certified providers currently at this moment, which is phenomenal. 1,600 tracked organizations. So these, again, are MLSs and various organizations that have contributed to RESO and basically have a RESO ID and is available in the JSON that we can parse out for this. We have 11 what I'm calling multi-org providers. So these are providers that offer services to organizations who are using multiple providers. Very common example, someone's using Bridge and Grid. That would be an org that is using multiple providers. Likewise, there's around 57 multi-provider organizations. So this is similar. It's whether you're an organization who offers multiple providers or providers who serve multiple organizations. This is phenomenal. 10 years ago, the idea of this many orgs being tracked was a little beyond what we had even expected, but it's expanded extremely quickly, and it's a fantastic thing. However, currently, about 67% of certifications are at risk. And I think this is a good thing because legacy certifications just means we're continuing to push the envelope forward. We're evolving the standard, and we're trying to get people to come up to speed. Having a Data Dictionary 1.7 certification is no longer good enough. We need to have everyone on Data Dictionary 2.0. 2.1's in the works. We put a lot of effort into figuring out exactly how we're going to version the data dictionary in ways that we're not breaking things when we do our minor changes. Breakage only occurs in a major version. These are just ways to make sure that there's stability in the industry as we grow this out. But 69% of the current certifications are at risk of being dropped in the next 6 months, which comes out to around 384 organizations are at risk of losing their certification. Of those 39 certified providers, there are only 2 that are 100% certification. I think this might have actually creeped up to 3 over the last week. But out of 39, only 2, or maybe 3, are all the way up there. There's only 1 provider today that has more than 10 feeds and is 100% compliant. I was reminded that we're not pitching from the stage, but I saw a lot of pitching yesterday, so I'll just leave it at that there is only 1 organization that is currently at 100% and over 10 feeds. Of those 1,600 organizations, about 299 are certified, which is fantastic. But there are around 200 of those that are currently delinquent. That means they're not only at risk, their certifications are no longer valid. Of these multi-org providers, of the 11, there are 7 that are currently compliant, which is good. Needs to be better, but it's certainly good. And there is only 1 compliant multi-provider organization. So this is an MLS who has multiple systems, but they're 100%. They have no legacy certs. They have no at-risk cert. Only 1. And they're in the room. Not surprising. But I will say there's a lot of good here. This is mostly good. The large majority of MLSs have been certified. Sam talked about that a little bit in the opening day. We're hitting the platinum record, the million feeds have been made available. This is amazing progress. Let's drill it down a little more real here. We've got about 135 orgs in the room. Again, this is coming from a Vibe code app, so yeah, it's a little iffy, but we're thinking these numbers are close enough to spit at. Of the providers in the room, only about 45% are currently actively certified. Of the organizations, about 14% are flat-out expired certs. Which, from the flip side, it means 85% are valid and active, which is what we would expect at a standards organization. You people are the ones who care the most about these things. You're attending these events. You're supporting the cause. But 14% of you could support the cause a little bit better. Of the MLSs in the room, 66% are actively certified. Again, meaning there's still, 40-some% that could be doing a little bit better. But again, continuing to improve. There's lots of area to continue to grow in this space. I want to give a call out to Heartland here. So Heartland is the MLS that I mentioned earlier that has only certified feeds. And this to us is a great example of, yeah, Rob's waving his arms there. This is one of those areas where, we need to have more choice, more availability, and that choice needs to be certified. That gives you that additional portability. Vendors who are writing code against the Heartland system have a lot more options to move back and forth. Their technology providers have more ability to earn new revenue. It's just overall a good thing for the ecosystem. And while it's still having more and more feeds is a good thing, but having more compliant feeds is the best. Speak of the devil, I will say that Dorify is a very close second. They do still have one vendor with a legacy certification, but they have tons of certified platforms available. They have lots of ways to get data from Dorify. I will say Heartland and Dorify are both setting a great example for what we should be moving towards, but I have to give Matt a little bit of grief here. He does have at least one legacy, but I know they're working on that as well, and he'll be hot on your tails there, Rob. So all in all, I think we can do better. We're making a lot of progress, but there are some things that I would recommend to do to continue to grow this. On the MLS side, continue to contribute to these initiatives, which sometimes means paying for updates, sometimes means continuing to advocate for it. But the MLSs need to get involved in order to make this happen. Inform your board and your members about the importance of these efforts. Improved data leads to enhanced listing visibility. I will say, someone told me here recently that MLSs don't care about the quality of data as long as the data is made available and is certified. I would say, in the spirit of Kentucky, that's horseshit. The MLSs do care deeply about this data, and I think making sure that you as an MLS advocate this to your vendors to do the best that you can do to keep the data compliant. Choose partners who will guarantee that your data remains compliant, ideally without having to tell them every single day. Work with them, push them, make sure your vendors hold the same standard that your members hold you to. On the vendor side, encourage your MLSs to transition to the latest feeds. Most of the time, that really just depends on developing technology that's going to reduce the impact. These changes are not easy, but if you're developing your systems in a way that makes it so that it's easy to upgrade, keeping on constant top of the data standards as they evolve, it just makes it less painful down the line. Technology providers, I often say just require a compliant data feed. I know that's easier said than done. These are hot markets. It's hard to get into these MLSs. Sometimes you're just going to take whatever you can get. Maybe there's ways for you to provide incentives to MLSs who are giving you compliant data feeds. If it takes you dramatically less time to get a system set up, maybe you can afford to charge a little less. There's ways to work with your MLSs to make sure that you both benefit from using compliant feeds. And this is the same point that I hammer on most of my presentations. It's more around writing your systems so that they can handle large volumes of data and embrace frequent updates. The only way to be able to have your systems use compliant data is to be able to accept it and process the data more quickly. Gone are the days where we can throw up red flags if we see 1,000 listings that have been modified. Like, we've got so much more traction of data that needs to move through these systems these days. So just build things that will continue to support the evolving standard. So I will say, remember, you always have a choice to be better. You always have a choice to pick the right path, even if that choice can come a little late. A little Star Wars quote there for you nerds out there. And I truly do believe we have tons and tons of good platforms in this industry. There's people all throughout the room who are working their butts off to provide amazing data, amazing platforms. There's MLSs who are contributing these platforms and brokers who are contributing these platforms. There's room for everyone here to win, but embrace the ones that meet your needs the best. Not every platform is going to work for everyone. Not every technology provider is not going to work for everyone. Not every price point is going to work for everyone. So you need to be creative, find ways to work with your providers, work with your MLSs, work with the vendors, find ways to find what meets your needs, and may all the best platforms win. All of the best, not just the one best. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.